Good morning. This is Jack from Charting the Markets, and this is the Bigger Picture webinar for the morning of Wednesday, the 15th of April. My disclaimer: I do this for educational purposes only. I'm here to share my technical analysis with you. I hope you can take some of what I'm doing, learn from, transfer it to your own charts. I'm not here to shoot trading signals. This is a video for paying subscribers at CTM The Bigger Picture.substack.com. It's published on YouTube after delay every week. All right, running a little late today because I was having some go-to meeting problems. Let's have a look. All right, great. We've got some sell signals fixed here. I'm not expecting these to play out immediately. I was talking on the pre-market video this morning about the possibility we would make higher highs and set up full-size sell signals here. But we've got some weak sell signals fixed at the moment. We've now got a full-size sell signal brewing on ES and NQ. We didn't have a sell signal on RTY, but we've now got a full-size 60-minute sell signal brewing, and we've got a weak 60-minute sell signal which is fixed, and it's going to stay weak by the look of it, and it's starting to play out. Dia has been the weakest, really, of the indices. So that's still a weak signal because it didn't quite make it back to the 70 level, but decent. DAX. We've got a weak sell signal fixed, and it's not going to grow into a stronger one unless we go higher. And we've got a weak sell signal fixed on ESTX as well. Looking at Nikkei. Nikkei, no signal, and we've almost reached the IHS target in the 59,000 area. Let's have a look at these on the bigger picture. Okay, looking at SPX on the hourly chart. Well, ES. We're obviously no current negative divergence, and obviously we're on a daily upper band ride. We've done 1, 2, 3, 4. We're on the 5th day of an upper band ride here. On the daily chart, we are looking fairly stretched on the. This has been a very strong move. We're up to the 90 area on the RSI 14. This is an area we've reached a few times. Generally, either just before a high, or we see a pullback and then we see a higher high. Although we'd had that happen here and the sell signal fix and fail, of course. We will see how this goes. But I've got to say, the obvious target at this stage looks like a retest of the all-time high at 7,228, and we have, what's the high today? 98. 69.88, that is just 14 handles short. I'm thinking that's the obvious target here, and we are likely to make it. In terms of the hourly sell signals, they failed both the RSI 14 and the RSI 5 sell signals fixed on the hourly chart, and on Qs the same. Except the RSI 14 sell signal never actually fixed. On Dia, we've got a possible daily RSI 5 sell signal brewing now, and on the hourly chart, the RSI 14 sell signal never failed. It was the only one that survived. The one on IWM failed as well. So what are we looking at in terms of patterns here? Well, on the 15-minute, we've gone through this wedge resistance. This could still be a wedge, but this would have to be a fairly vigorous bearish overthrow at the moment. We've got the IHS, which broke up with the target in the 69.12 area, has made target. Looking at the Qs, the IHS which broke up with the target in the 627.5 area has made target. Looking at Dia, the IHS that broke up with the target in the 486.25 area has reached target. And looking at IWM, over the moment. All right, double bottom that broke up with the target in the 266.8 area has also made target. All of these patterns that I posted last week have made target, and we're pretty close to retest the all-time high on SPX, obviously, on IWM, where we've made it up to 269.59, and the all-time high is at 271.11. If we look at the Qs chart, all right, looking at the Qs chart, we're also pretty close, not a little further away than we are on IWM and SPX, but nonetheless entirely reachable. So we've got the all-time high at 635.39, and the high today so far is 630.59. So that is doable, but slightly further away. In terms of the bigger picture, given that the Iran crisis is very much not over. This is something I was talking about, and I have to say I didn't think it was going to happen, but the early sell signals all failed, and everyone seems to be pretty optimistic about what's happening in Iran, even if there's no really good reason for that. What I've been talking about was the possibility we might see a retest of the high after this move down was completed, and that we might be setting up larger topping patterns. Obviously, we've got a potential larger double top forming here on the Qs. We've got a potential larger double top forming here on SPX. On Dia, we don't need a retest the high, which is good because we're nowhere near one. Here, we've got a potential head and shoulders, right shoulder forming. Now, I have to say it's higher than I would like it to see. Is it valid? Yeah. So we've got a potential larger pattern forming there too. In terms of the IWM chart, retest the high would give us a nice and larger double top as well. These are all pretty significant patterns, and there is very much a huge amount of foo-bar potential in what's happening in Iran here, and I am definitely watching out for those. In terms of DAX, not close to a retest of the high. Could be forming a head and shoulders here. Gotta say it would be uglier than the others, and that does make a difference to a degree. Nikkei, this looks as though we may well be testing, setting up for a retest of the highs. We shall see. Ideally, we go back and retest these highs, and we would set up some negative divergence on the daily charts. And we will see how that develops. I am thinking we might short term see a pullback and then see a last move up. We will see how that goes. All right, let's have a look at the DX chart. Okay, DX, we've got a double top which is broken down here with a target in the 96.76 area to the 96.99 range. That has broken down, but I've got to say I'm wondering if this is just a bull flag forming. We will see. In terms of the other currencies, EURUSD, we've got an IHS broken up with a target in the 1.1875 area. GBPUSD, no particularly obvious target, but we are still rallying. USD/JPY, as and when the dollar starts moving up again, which I'm thinking it probably will, I'll be looking for that target at a retest of 162 that I was looking for. Meanwhile, this looks like a bull flag forming. USD CAD kind of looks like a bull flag forming. Australian dollar, keeping an open mind, but if we retest this high here, we could be setting up the second high of a double top, and we've got a possible 60-minute sell signal break. Harder to say what's happening on NZ. We've got possible IHS broken up here. It's not great, but it is valid. Still thinking about that one. All right, let's have a look at those on the bigger picture. And on US dollar, obviously, the bigger picture obviously is a flag, and I'm wondering whether the Iran war could push us up to making this flag, or the obvious flag target should be a retest of this high here in 114.78 area. At the moment, we've broken up for a double bottom here. We're not making much progress towards the target. We had a weak RSI 5 sell signal fix, for RSI 14 sell signal fix. That's pretty much reached the possible near miss target now, but I'm wondering about whether we are going to get down to this double bottom. Sorry, this double top target. We shall see. Looking at the euro, double top has broken down here and might be rejecting back up into the highs. Looking at GBP USD, no current divergence. Got a nice looking double top here, but it hasn't broken down yet. And at the moment, that double top support is where rising wedge support is as well. And in terms of USD JPY, I'm looking for a potential retest of this high here at 162. And that could give us a potential large double top if we see it. Watching with interest there. I would note that if we go above it, I've got, hang on, wait a second, I've got megaphone resistance up in about the 168, 169 area, so we do have room to overrun if the dollar's going to have a decent run. USD CAD, not seeing an obvious setup here, really. Could this be an IHS? Not really, in terms of the pattern it's coming from. This could be a larger double bottom, potentially, if we are going to see a strong move up. Actually, no, it would be a perfectly decent looking double bottom. So I'm thinking that may well be what's happening here. Australian dollar, no current negative divergence, pretty close to a retest of the high. And NZ, probably leaning towards this being an IHS, really. And that's broken up with the target in about the 60-50 area. Okay, let's have a look at bonds. Now, bonds, These have been holding up, and we're testing the monthly pivot as resistance again. The sell signals have pretty much all made target or made the possible near miss targets. I'm wondering if we're going to see a failure down here. And as I said, the FUBO potential on what's happening in Iran is very substantial. I really don't think the market is taking into account at the moment the longer term effects over the next few months of even what we've just seen so far, if everything went back to normal tomorrow. I'm thinking we may well see a lot of downside over the summer. So if that happens, I'm expecting bonds to go down. On ZN, this looks like a bear flag forming. On ZB, it could be a bear flag forming as well. So it could also be a larger IHS forming. But again, this is something where we could just break up and fail back into the lows. Looking at the bigger picture on those, right, TYX, the RSI 5 sell signal reached the possible near miss target, and I'm thinking this looks like a bull flag, and we may well be heading back up to the highs, which of course would be bullish for bond yields and bearish for bonds. In terms of TNX, the RSI 5 sell signal has reached the full target, and again could be a bull flag forming, and wouldn't be a bad looking bull flag forming actually. In terms of TLT, the RSI 5 buy signal has now pretty much made the full target. Again, this could be a bull flag forming, or this could be a double top, which has just been seeing a bit of a rally, has broken down with a target in the 81.2 area. I'm leaning towards the double top setup. In terms of the hourly chart, not a lot to see. We'll see how it goes from here. But they've got to say, this is a nice look, very, very nice looking double top that's broken down. We often see a bit of a rally, but you can see there's a little IHS here. There is the possibility it's going to break the other way, and we're going to start going up on bonds. I'm not seeing any obvious reason to think that might happen, though. But we'll see. Always a possibility. All right, looking at oil. We've been seeing a lot of weakness here. Now, obviously, the world's still going through a lot of reserves. Some oil is still getting through the Strait of Hormuz, and actually traffic seems to be increasing under the blockade so far. So it's a little difficult to work out what's happening. Whatever's happening, I'm sure that friends of the people high up in the administration are still making bank on the announcements, but hard to tell what's happening from other than that. In terms of where we are, in terms of the war has not ended. Things could escalate and get an awful lot worse, and if that's the case, then I'll be thinking Brent here could be heading up into well over 150, and actually on physical cash on the nail in the Middle East at the moment, physical prices are already up in the 140 to 160 area. Right, looking at CL, actually made it down to the 87 area overnight. Not expecting this to last. We will see possible bull flag forming here. HO went back and retested the low, possible double bottom here. Didn't see that on RBOB. But really, my lean is that we're just waiting for these to go higher. NG, this hasn't been really affected by the Iran war at all. We've got down to a trend line and we're holding it on Sunday at about 2.62, and we have broken down through that. That has opened the way for further downside. We've got a 6-minute buy signal fix, which is trying and not so far mainly failing to deliver a rally. All right, let's have a look at that on the bigger picture charts. And on Brent, the RSI 5 sell signal made target. On heating oil, sorry, WTech, we didn't have a sell signal. Heating oil, RSI 5 sell signal made target, and gas oil, RSI 5 sell signal made target. We've still got some weak RSI 14 sell signals, but in terms of consolidation, we could be ready to move up, although we could go down a little lower and start setting up some positive divergence. On the bigger picture, I'm still expecting to see, and I think there is every reason to expect, that this flag will break up and make the full target in the 134.91 area. Rather, it is already broken up. Obviously, we made the initial double bottom targets, and with we made the initial double bottom target, and we've been pulling back a bit. I'm thinking we're probably going to be making a move up towards the flag target, but it's a little difficult to tell what's happening here because there is a big difference between the futures prices here and what we're actually seeing on the physical. That gap is likely to close, but when it'll close is a little harder to say. All right, in terms of heating oil, again, we've got a flag. However, that's already made target and it's already made a new all-time high. So Not necessarily going to see any more upside on that. In terms of gas oil, I'm expecting to see a retest of this high here at 4.12. That's where the flag target is, and I think there's every reason to think we're going to get there. We shall see. Obviously, here we had all the initial large double bottoms that I was talking about last year have all made target now. We've got a potential level top here, but I'm not expecting it to deliver. Right, looking at natural gas. Now, we've broken down below the rising support, which I think I was showing on the daily chart, and this is us breaking slightly below it here. No current positive divergence, and really, on any reasonable reading, this is a flag. This is a bear flag, and it's starting to break down. This doesn't mean we're going to head down towards this target straight away, but I'm thinking we may well be heading down towards this target at 1.886. I am wondering if there might be some blowback from Iran as oil prices go higher, which could actually just increase demand for piped natural gas, which could actually move the prices up that way. But at the moment, we are seeing absolutely no sign of that happening. All right, let's have a look at gold. And on gold, we've got an IHS. It broke up with a target in the 51.11 area, and this is on the bigger picture. I've got to say, I think the picture is very bullish. In the short term, I'm still wondering if this is a bear flag, which might deliver a retest of this low. And on silver, this looks like a pretty nice bear flag, actually. Although we're breaking up from it at the moment, and maybe that will continue the break, but if it doesn't, well, this isn't a bad looking bear flag wedge, and this could be a bearish overthrow here. In terms of palladium, could well be a bear flag here, although we could be forming a slightly larger IHS. Platinum could be forming a larger IHS, but could still be a bear flag. I'm keeping an open mind on those, but I've got to say on the bigger picture, these are looking a lot more bullish. HG has run away. We've made it basically back up to a retest of this high here in the 61.5 area, and I'm thinking it may go higher. More to say about this on the daily chart, on the bigger picture charts rather. All right, looking at gold. Gold, we've got this beautiful flag here, and it's a beautiful flag channel. We're back over the daily middle band, and we are continuing higher at the moment. So the obvious next target would actually be a move up to flag resistance in the 51.20 area, but I am wondering if we might get a retest this low, set up a double bottom, and then do the retest of the high. In terms of silver, this nice looking flag here, and that has already broken up, and again, I'm thinking bigger picture. I'm leaning towards seeing a retest of 121.64. On the smaller picture, even though we had a decline in basically of actually 50% here from the highs pretty much, this is actually still, with the previous move was so huge, this is actually a credible bull flag. I'm still leaning towards seeing a retest of 121.64, but could we see a retest of the low here, set up a double bottom and go up? Yeah, maybe. Is there a potential double bottom here already? Pretty oversized. Normally, I wouldn't like to rely on one of those. In terms of palladium, this kind of looks like a bull flag too, which is broken up. In terms of platinum, again, this kind of looks like a bull flag, which has broken up, and a pretty nice one. So I'm leaning towards these. I'm leaning towards the bigger move here we're heading back to as being a retest of the all-time highs across the board, and we will see whether or not we're going to form a bottoming pattern, and if so, we could, of course, still retest these lows. Looking at copper. Okay, copper, we've seen basically slightly more than 50 back of the move down from the this all-time high here at 6.58, and no current divergence on the weekly chart. We're back up. We've got possible resistance at this old trend line, which was overthrown, and watching that with interest. In terms of the we didn't have any buy signal on the at the lows here, but I am wondering, when the closer we get to it, the more I will be wondering whether we could do a retest of this high, potentially set up the second high over double top. I'm not leaning towards, unless everything just magically goes away, like a miracle. I'm not really expecting to see much in the way of a more upside in terms of copper. So it is possible, but I'm not really expecting to see it. If we see a retest of 6.583, I think the obvious read would be that was the second high over double top. In terms of GDX, obviously we made the weekly RSI 5 sell signal targets. We didn't make the weekly RSI 14 sell signal targets. We got potential double tops that are broken down here, but I'm really leaning towards these rejecting back up into the highs. Pretty much the same picture on GDXJ. We will see. In terms of the hourly charts, no current divergence, as we've been, well, basically heading sideways. So waiting to see if these will deliver more. Could this be an IHS which is broken up on GDXJ? Yes, it could. Do we have a similar one on GDX? Not as nice, but arguably yes. I'm leaning towards, on the bigger picture, I'm pretty bullish on precious metals. All right, let's have a look at the other commodities and on KC. KC, overall, this looks like a bear flag forming. SB, this looks as though it's heading back into a retest of the lows here, and I'm thinking we may well deliver that. We've got a 60-minute buy signal fixed. So far, it hasn't delivered much of a rally. CC, this was an interesting one and fairly rare. We had a very nice-looking triangle here, which is actually broken up into a very nice-looking bear flag channel. So that is something I see every so often, but it's fairly rare. So just a technical geek kind of a thing, really. Meantime, though, this is a pretty nice looking bear flag channel. CT is continuing higher. On bigger picture, a double bottom is broken up. On lumber, wondering about just basically a resumption of the downtrend, retest of 560 and then continuation lower. Wheat, I've got an IHS which is trying to break up here, not particularly successfully so far, but I'm thinking may well start a larger move higher on wheat. On corn, we're breaking up from a falling wedge, and I'm wondering about a larger move, resuming a larger uptrend on corn. On soy, we're possibly forming an IHS on large inverted head and shoulders. That this would be the right shoulder. That could give us a large pattern to the upside as well. ZL, not sure what's happening here, but leaning towards this resuming uptrend as well. Live cattle is continuing higher after the flag, and it just continued on. And lean hogs, I'm leaning towards this being a bull flag, but I got to say, at the moment, I was hoping this would be a double bottom, and at the moment, lean hogs is continuing lower, and we're losing the possible weak 6-minute buy signal this break. All right, let's have a look at this on the bigger picture charts, and on coffee. We've got an IHS which is broken up, but it looks like it's forming a bear flag instead. We could see a higher high within that bear flag. In terms of sugar, sugar is continuing into a retest of the low. Now, we've got some bigger picture targets well below here. In fact, the target on sugar would be a target basically in the 9 area, which would be a big drop from here. So really, dropping over a third from here. So waiting to see if that's going to deliver. In the meantime, when we retest this low here, which we're probably going to, we've got an opportunity to set up a double bottom. Equally, could be A, B, C flag forming. So there's a couple of options there. On cocoa, this looks like a bear flag, and I'm leaning towards seeing a retest of the low. No current divergence, apart from the weak RSI 14 buy signal, which has not made it to the possible near miss target yet. Looking at cotton, the double bottom is now broken up with a target in the, hang on, actually, sorry, I redrew that. I need to correct this. I recalculated the targets here. I got those slightly wrong. The target is actually in the 88.64 to 89.13 area. So sorry, I'm just going to correct that while I'm looking at it. Bear with me a second. All right. So that's broken up, and that is one of the 4 things which I think may go up a lot on the basis of the fertilizer shortage from the Strait of Hormuz. This is now broken up with the target in the 88.64 to 89.13 area. Looking at lumber, obviously I'm moving towards this, just resuming the downtrend. Sooner or later, this likely has a date with a retest of this early 23 low at 352.50. In terms of wheat, we've got a beautiful double bottom here. It's broken up slightly. We've seen a retracement here, and I'm leaning towards this resuming the uptrend. On corn, does it matter if peace breaks out? I'm not sure it does on this, actually, because of the initial problems in the Strait of Hormuz. Price of fertilizer went up, fertilizer availability went down, and an awful lot of the wheat and corn crop wasn't planted. That isn't going to be corrected if peace breaks out tomorrow. So I think a move up in wheat and corn prices and the others is likely. I'm not quite sure when they plant cotton and soybeans, but I got to say, very nice looking patterns there too. Soybeans, this is a potential inverted head and shoulders, not the prettiest one in the world, but valid. That could get us back up into about the 1560 area. I'm liking these, and I'm thinking they've got a good chance of making target. And actually, this would be a large retracement, but this doesn't really get us back close to the 2022 highs, even. This is the largest retracement here, but actually, cotton, if we see a break up here, we wouldn't even get back to the 38.2% retracement of the move down from the 2022 high. In terms of wheat, we wouldn't be back up to 38.2 either. I think we're a little... Yeah, we'd be higher on corn. I haven't drawn any arrows here, but we'd be still below the 61.8. These are all reasonable retracements after big downtrends. So to be honest, this is just fitting what I was leaning towards seeing anyway. So I'm really liking those, and I'm working on a post on those, which I'm hoping to have out today or tomorrow. So we shall see. All right, so let's have a look at crypto. And crypto, still looking at bear flags. The bear flags still look good. I am wondering about these expanding into slightly larger bear flags, and we made a higher high yesterday on Bitcoin. Solana, we've got an IHS which is broken up with a target at a retest of this rally high here at 97.66. At the moment, that does look as though it might be failing though. A break below 81.31 fails the pattern. In terms of Ethereum, still looks like a bear flag. Made a new rally high there too. Not sure that really gives me any decent trend lines yet, but I'll be working on this and see if I've got a decent pattern there somewhere. We shall see. All right, and that is everything. So everyone take care, and I will catch you again on Sunday. All right, cheers.